Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our monthly Leadership Basics training. My name is Dadra Driscoll, and I am so excited to be sharing with you all tonight as we continue in our series from the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. My name is Dadra Driscoll, and in addition to being a travel agent, I am also a member of the John Maxwell leadership team, and I am excited to be sharing this. We are now on law number 5. So, for those of you who have been following with us thus far, we are taking our training from the book again by John C. Maxwell, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So let's get started. Law number 5 is the law of consistency. Motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going. Now, for those of us that are in business, this law in particular is definitely going to speak to whether you are a travel booker and selling travel to clients, or if you're a team builder and you are looking to grow a thriving team. On either side, the law of consistency is going to be vital. It is so important that we keep that motivation going by being disciplined in our day-to-day habits and our day-to-day activities. So let's get started. Growth is not a single event. It's not something where we just pop up one day and boom, we go from 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds and we're there. It's a continuous process, and how we grow and how our business grows and thrives is really going to be dependent upon how we apply our day-to-day habits towards our goals. So growing consistently is important that you consider a couple things. Do you know what you need to improve? And do you know how you need to improve? Because if we're going from one place to another, both the what and the how are going to be very critical. When it comes to knowing what you need to improve, last month we talked about reflection and really considering what it is that we needed. After we do that, then we have to come up with a plan to consistently work on whatever those things were that we identified that we need to improve. Sometimes knowing what you need to improve and knowing how you need to improve are vastly different. It's one thing to say, okay, I have a goal and I would like to sell more travel, or I want to book more group trips, or I want to book family vacations. I want to book 5 family vacations, or whatever those goals you may have set. But knowing how to go about that is very different. Likewise, if you're trying to build a team, you may have numerical goals in terms of your team size. You may also have goals that pertain to developing the people that are on your team. It's very important if you're looking to thrive in team building that you help nurture other team builders on your team, because as they're growing their teams, by default, it grows your team. So knowing how to do that can help you improve there. But again, growing consistently is going to hinge on both knowing what you need to improve as well as knowing how you need to improve. It's going to be important for you to consider what is your motivation as well as your personality type. Some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts, some of us have a real high motivating factor. Some of us are very laid back. So understanding those types of things about yourself as well as those that are on your team can be important in helping you grow consistently. Some people need that cheerleader, that person with the pom-poms saying, "You can do it. Yes, you can. You can do it. Yes, you can." Others are more self-motivated and they don't need that. But if you don't understand what it takes for you, it's going to be difficult for you to be consistent. If you know that you need that cheerleader person, then it's important that you put someone like that in your circle, someone who can give you that external motivation and help stir you up. If you're a self-starter, likewise, it's important for you to realize that if you've got someone constantly in your ear, that might be distracting for you. So understanding both your personality type as well as understanding your motivation is important because the two go hand in hand. Knowing that about yourself, and it doesn't make one style right and one style wrong or one good or bad. It's just important that you understand those things because when you're growing consistently, you want to be able to take one step in front of the other and keep moving and keep moving and keep moving. But in that, it's important that you start with the small things, the simple things. Maybe it's time management. Do you need a calendar system or do you write things down in a physical book? Some people have a physical calendar, some are more electronic. What are some of those things that can help you be consistent on a daily basis? Do you have like a to-do list? Some people have the types that they check off day to day in a planner type system. So you want to start with the small things because that's going to help you be consistent. If you're consistent in the small things over time, it translates into big things. But again, it's all going to really start with you starting with that self-assessment when we talked last month about reflection. But now that you've had some time to do that, now we want to put some of that into implementation. So in order to be consistent in improvement, consistent in strengthening, you've got to look at discipline like a muscle or like people. Now, I'm not going to take a poll to see how many people we have that go to the gym and that work out, but for those of you who lift weights, again, if you continuously lift a weight, it's going to strengthen the muscle. And it's the same thing when it comes to being consistent. If you consistently do those small things over and over again, it's going to strengthen you and strengthen your discipline, and it's going to help you with your consistency by setting that pattern. The other thing to consider while we're talking about growing consistently is as we start these things and we make it a habit and you're repeating them and you're doing them day to day, you're checking off your list, making sure you're following through with things consistently, it's also important that you be patient with yourself. It's not an overnight thing. You're not going to go and do something one time, two times, maybe three times, and then suddenly have this overwhelming success. Just like going to the gym three times doesn't make you come out with a summer body. It's going to take time. So be patient with yourself when you're starting, especially if it's something new. If this being an entrepreneur, this journey of an entrepreneur is new to you, give yourself some grace and be patient with yourself because as you're learning the things to do, for some of you, posting on social media may be something that you're gaining consistency and improving in your consistency with. So if you've not posted something, every day, don't beat up on yourself. Be patient and give yourself some grace. I often see there are different challenges. They say, well, do this for, the next 21 days. Well, if you started off good in the first 5 days, you were on it, and life happened on day 6, and then you posted on day 7, and then life happened on day 8, don't beat yourself up as if you have failed. That's not the case. You want to consider that it's a journey and it's a process, and that consistency, as long as you don't give up, if you keep at it and continue your discipline, you'll see the outcome. But often, if we're comparing ourselves or what we perceive someone else is doing, it can cause us to kind of falter and feel, have negative thoughts sometimes, or even to feel discouraged. Discipline will keep you going if you keep going. So I want you to take a pause there and value this process. As you're learning the different aspects of your business and you're applying yourself to it, don't expect that you'll be an overnight success, but expect that you'll be a success in the process. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But again, give yourself some grace. The one thing that I often see is when we're looking at other people and comparing what we think their journey is to what our real journey is, it can be a dangerous thing. So sometimes it appears on, especially with social media, it looks like some people make it look so easy. Oh, how are they doing that? They're having such great success. You have no idea how much is going on behind the scenes. It may not be as glamorous as it looks on the outside. So again, give yourself grace. Value that process, be patient, but continue to grow. Remember, this is the law of consistency. Motivation gets you going, but discipline is going to keep you going. Now, E.M. Gray, he made a statement. He said, the successful person has the habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. The successful person doesn't like to do them either, but his dislike is subordinated to the strength of his purpose. Let's think about that. The successful person has a habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. That might be getting up early or staying up late. It might be taking classes or going and putting in the extra work. The successful person doesn't like to do it necessarily, but their dislike is subordinated to the strength of their purpose. So if your purpose is burning within you and your goals that you set for yourself and for your business are burning within you, your desire to achieve those will trump the tendency to want to give up. So that will be the motivation that helps push you to continue to be disciplined. So I know I've got a bunch of successful people on this call, so we're not going to let the habits of doing those things cause us to be a failure. We're going to continue to be successful and put in the work, even in the things that we don't enjoy, because we see the end result. Now, when it comes to growing consistently, first we want to look at, do you know why you want to improve? Then we're going to look at, do you know when you are supposed to improve? So let's look at the first one. Do you know why you want to improve? This is a question of your own motives and life purpose. Have in your past, because we're going to talk about the future being bright. So in the past, has quitting become a habit? We are always going to be faced with the option to give up. And in fact, it's going to always be easier to just say forget it than it is to press that one extra step, to stay up that extra 30 minutes, to do a different post, to talk to more people. All of those things, quitting is always easier, but the easy road does not necessarily yield the desired outcome. So when you're looking at why I want to improve, I want to improve because I want to reach those goals that I set, that vision that I see of who and what I can be and what my business can be. I keep that in front of me so that quitting doesn't become an option. But for some people, if you've never been told not to quit, or if people have allowed you to quit as if it was okay, then it's easy to go about your life starting things but not finishing. As a business owner, the decision that this business is going to be successful and I'm putting my foot down and I'm pressing toward whatever your definition of success in your business is going to be very important to your discipline, very important to your consistency. Every day, you're going to be offered an opportunity to give up. And every day is a day that you have to say no. And remind yourself of those whys, why you're in business, why you're trying to be a better business person. Maybe it's monetary goals, things you want to do for your family and your children. Perhaps you're nearing retirement and you want to be able to create a sustainable income or supplemental income during those times. Whatever those things are, those things have to always be louder in your ear than that small voice that's saying, just give up. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do this. Yes, you do, because this is your business and this is your choice and your goal, and you're going to be successful. And the way to become successful is to rule out the option of quitting. And if that is you in the past, you had a habit of quitting, it's a matter of making that decision. I'm not going to give up on myself anymore. And for some of you, it may be a matter of verbally saying that, physically writing it down, maybe putting it on a post-it and sticking it on the bathroom mirror. I don't know. But putting it before you that quitting is not an option anymore, because we're creating a habit and a pattern of consistency at this point. So let's do a quick thing. We're going to take a why test. It's not one I'm going to collect. It's not one I'm going to grade, but it is one that I want you to answer for yourself. Do you consistently procrastinate on important tasks? Yes or no? Do you require coaching to do small chores? Do you perform duties just to get by? Do you consistently talk negatively about your work? Now, this particular one, I want to pause for a second. What are you saying about your business? Or if people say, oh, you got that little travel business, do you agree with them and call your business little? Just a thought. Do the efforts of friends to encourage you irritate you instead? Do you start projects and abandon them? Do you avoid self-improvement opportunities? Now, if you answered, yes to some of those questions, then that's going to give you something to pinpoint, to address, to improve, so that you can be consistent and diligent, because you want to make sure that you find that place of joy in doing the things necessary to thrive in your business. And it's all a matter of perspective. The next question is, do you know when you're supposed to improve? So I would say this because I know there was a time where I could say, take a look at your watch, and a lot of people would have watches on. But I know now a lot of people don't necessarily physically wear watches, but I know you're aware of those. But I want you to think about it. When people say, I'll do that someday, when is someday? There's no point on the face of a watch, of a clock dial that's Sunday, someday. There's no square on a calendar that says someday. So if we keep saying, we'll get around to it someday, or we allow someday, quote unquote, to be a thing, we're just giving ourselves an excuse to not achieve, because there is no someday. It would be different if you said, I'm going to have this done by June 1st. That's a specific point in time that you can hold yourself accountable to. But someday does not have the ability to put you to task, because it has no specific date or time. So if you found yourself connecting goals that you have in life or in business to some phantom, mysterious, magical date someday in the future, you're really giving yourself an excuse to not be consistent because you don't have a timeline. So I want you to go through your goals, and if any of your goals are attached to some phantom, make-believe, someday fairy tale day, I want you to go back and take a moment to consider what is a realistic, real life point in time that I can assign to them so that I can then hold myself accountable, that I can then be diligent toward achieving. Whether it's a 6-month goal, a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, pull it out of the clouds of someday and give it a specific point in time. Because really, all of the things that you're thinking are so far off and take so long really aren't that far away. Now, I'm not going to date everyone on the call, but I want you guys to think back and how many of you can still very vividly remember what you were doing during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit? Now, to put things into perspective, the beginning of March of 2020 March of 2020 was when the pandemic started. That was 6 years ago. I know it doesn't seem like it's been that long, and we can all remember it, but think about what could have happened or how much has happened in the last 6 years. So when I tell you to pull out of the sky, out of someday, out of one day, and assign a specific point in time to something, because 6 years ago, if we had talked about what you would be doing in 6 years, that may have seemed far off. But now that we're looking back 6 years, it didn't seem like it was that long. And the same thing with whatever your goals are. It doesn't necessarily have to be as far off as we might want to assign it. Often when I'm talking to people who are interested in team building and I ask questions about them growing their team, because of the unknowns and fear of the unknowns, often people will assign timelines that are months and months, sometimes years in the future. But in all actuality, those exact same goals could perhaps be obtained in a shorter period of time, but out of fear of the unknown, we often will push it further out so that we don't have to face the prospect of possibly failing and not meeting that goal. That's real, isn't it? But for instance, if we looked at the possibility of you speaking with people about your business this week, this upcoming week, the first week of March. If you could talk to people, if you knew 3 people who might be interested in starting a business and get them on a call and they sign up in the next 7 days, you could potentially be an executive consultant. 3 people. And that might not be so frightening, but when you're looking at it and you're starting with, oh, I want to become platinum, and that's 300 people, that might be overwhelming. But if you start with 3 people, I become executive, and then I do that exact same activity again. 3 more people, now you're bronze, and you do that exact same thing again. 3 more people, now you're silver, so on and so forth. So it's a matter also of perspective and how you look at it, because you don't become a platinum instantaneously because you went from 0 to 300 in one step. It was a continuous effort. It was other people and other also doing the same thing and you all doing it together. So that's why I mentioned as a leader, when it comes to growing both yourself as well as a team, you also want to consider the people that are around you. Because if all of you are building together, for instance, and you're hitting milestones together, you're going to achieve things together and the load won't be so heavy on any one person. But it's going to start with setting some realistic goals. So, when I talk to people and they tell me that it's going to take them 30 days to become executive, that's kind of like a someday because it doesn't necessarily take 30 days for three people to sign up in your business if you're sharing your business with people. But again, just the thought to consider when we're looking at knowing when you're supposed to improve. As you're improving, as you if you broke it down on the team building side, three people at a time, after the first three people, you're going to be even better at it than when you started. So the next three are going to be easier than the first three. And the next three are going to be easier than the first six, and so on and so forth. So again, as we're becoming consistent, we're also going to become better. You're going to improve. Just like that first time you went to the gym and lifting the weights, you didn't quite know what you were doing, or maybe your form wasn't as good. But if you kept up at it, you're going to get better at it and see the results. It's that same concept. Now, this is going to be a controversial slide, I know. So let's take a moment with it because maybe it's time to stop setting goals. Now, okay, put your rocks down. I know that we have goals but sometimes we just continue setting goals and setting goals and setting goals, and maybe we're not achieving them. We just keep replacing them. So we're going to compare a couple things because I want to discuss the difference between being a goal-oriented person and a growth-oriented person. Goal-oriented versus growth-oriented. So, if you have a goal consciousness, you're going to focus only on a destination. If you have a growth consciousness, you're going to focus on the journey. So again, if your goal is to book a certain number of trips, that's just it. I'm just trying to book trips, book trips. But if you're focused on the journey and you're learning your vendors, you're learning your destinations, and you become better about that journey, you'll achieve the goal in the process because the more knowledgeable you are about your products, the more confident you are when you're talking to people, and the easier it's going to be to close those sales. How about having a goal consciousness means it motivates you and others. We're going to become a platinum organization. Hear the cheers and see the pom-pom shaking. A growth consciousness says, I want to mature myself and others. If we all get better, we'll achieve all our goals in the process. If I have a growth consciousness for both myself and my team, I'm going to learn how to grow my team. My team is going to learn how to grow themselves as well. And we're all going to grow together. So it's a different focus. When you have a goal consciousness, that can be seasonal. I want to rank up before convention. I know I have people on the line who have some goals that have a specific April 30th deadline date. Having a growth consciousness is lifelong. As I'm putting the disciplines in place and I'm doing the things necessary, not only will I hit that goal for April 30th, but I will continue on beyond that and continue to grow. A goal consciousness challenges you, whereas a growth consciousness changes you. The things that you're able to change and improve about yourself are going to continue to fuel you reaching levels of success throughout your life. It's not a one-off. Goal consciousness stops when the goal is reached. A growth consciousness keeps growing beyond the goal. When I mentioned for those of you who have goals to reach by April 30th, what's going to happen on May 1st? Do you exhale and just sit down and stop? Take a sigh of relief, take a month off because you've owed it to yourself? Or do you keep growing beyond the goal? What about a goal consciousness that waits for growth to come, whereas a growth consciousness takes responsibility to grow? I'm not just hoping and praying that this thing works. I'm taking responsibility and doing the work necessary, putting in the time and the effort so that I see the growth results. A goal consciousness is going to learn only from mistakes, whereas a growth consciousness is going to learn before mistakes. Because I'm focusing on growth, I'm going to be prepared to avoid certain pitfalls because I have a growth consciousness. A goal consciousness depends on good luck. If I can meet the people, if I can get enough people to book, then this will happen. Whereas a growth consciousness relies on hard work. Again, when you're the most knowledgeable about your product, people are going to want to come to you because you're the most knowledgeable about your product. So you want to continue to grow your business so that people want to come to you. People are referred to you because you're the one that they need. It's a different position. So again, I wasn't saying, the goals are not important, but again, for some people, they stop at the goal and they don't have a growth consciousness. So we want to make sure that you're continuing beyond just the goals that you have to being diligent in a consistent way so that you can receive those things that you have sought out in your business. Now, your potential is not an event, goal, or product. As we've talked about what your potential is, it's important for you to realize that your potential is a consistent journey of discovery, growth, and insight. We're not dropping the pin on a single thing. We're looking at a lifelong journey. We're looking at your potential. The law of consistency is going to cause you to continuously experience heights and be successful in things that you never thought possible, or maybe you only dreamed was possible, because it's not going to be limited to just a specific event. Like, I want to cross the stage at a convention this year. I want to be a gold consultant. I want to be $1 million travel booker, or whatever those things are. Your potential may go far beyond that. For those of our top travel bookers, for many of them, the goal wasn't to just book X number of dollars in travel. Because again, once you reach whatever that magic number is, there's still another number. You don't want to cap yourself. If you have a goal to be $1 million travel booker, I do hope you realize you have the potential to, if you can book 1 million, you can book 2 million, you can book 5 million, you can book 10 million. But if you've just put a pin in it that 1 million is the end, the goal, that's it. What do you do once you reach $1 million? Do you close your business and say, I'm done now? No, you keep pressing because your potential is a constant journey of discovery, growth, and insight. So the things that you learn while you're booking your first $1,000, your first $10,000, your first $100,000, all of those lessons are going to help strengthen you as you're being consistent in the things that you're learning to reach the next goal, your 500 million, your 500,000, your million, and so on and so forth. So again, understand that with the law of consistency, being disciplined, the things that you learn along the journey are going to be the lessons that help sustain you throughout. They're going to be the ones that you take the time to build upon to grow toward the next level because there's levels to this. And you don't want to ever just put a pin in it and stop. And you also don't want to limit yourself. So I want you always to consider that the current set of goals that you have right now are the placeholders that you want to reach next. But there's something after that. So having a growth and consistency mindset is going to help you to reach them and keep going. Now, often I know there's, the adage that runner, you don't want to run to the tape, you want to run through the tape. So for those of you who may have ran track, I know that that may resonate with you. But as you consider, you don't want to get just to the mark of a goal. You want to blaze through it and keep going because, again, in this, we're always growing from level to level. We're going from point to point. And depending upon what it is that you're doing in your business, you don't want to have something just be seasonal. You do want it to be lifelong. Now, Michael Angier said, if you develop the habit of success, you'll make success a habit. And I know that's a very simple statement, but I want you to think about that. As you're developing the habits of success, su being successful will become your habit. When I gave that analogy about your first three partners, you become executive. And then you do that same thing again, and you then have six partners, and now you're bronze. And you do that same three more people again, and you become silver. That's a success habit because the same thing that it took for you to talk to those first three people will be the same thing that you're going to be doing when you talk to points 200 to 203 on your team. When you cross over and you're, a one-star platinum and you're talking to thousands of people, it's that same conversation. You've just had it more times. So it's important that you develop the habits of success in your business because that's going to make success your habit. So I want you to take a moment and start thinking, what are the habits of success that I've already tapped into that I need to be consistent with? What are the things that I've really done well? Or what are the things that I need to improve and do well and then repeat? Because the habits of success that you develop will make success your habit. So I want you to take a moment, let those things settle in, because when it comes to the law of consistency, motivation is going to be what gets you going. But discipline is what's going to keep you going. So developing those success habits is what's going to keep you going. Because again, no matter what your goals are, whether you have monetary goals in terms of the amounts of money that you want to make in your team, or you want to grow a team, you want to learn about new destinations, you want to travel more, it doesn't matter what those elements are. If you develop the habits of success and discipline yourself to them, you'll be able to achieve them. Perhaps you're doing one thing and you're nervous about trying and something new. You want to expand in your business. It's the same with that. If you develop the habits of success in those areas, you'll make success your habit. So that brings us to the end of this month's training. Law number 5, the law of consistency of the 15 invaluable laws of growth.